Okay, it is September 6th, 2020. It is currently 3:52 a.m. I am in the process of sharing, this is publishing documentation of what was P.O.C. at 2:26 a.m. in the parking lot at this third-party facilitating venue, Economy Inn. So what occurs before this documentation is captured is what is monitoring is occurring 24/7. It is a ceaseless state-organized system in operation whereby you engage in repetitious engagement in the criminal elements of monitoring with communication devices, which is light, activity, and relevant positioning. Relevant positioning is constant, where you are engaged in group stalking, and that is in concert with the people of the state of California. They engage in group conduct. Third parties do not act individually. It is not based on one specific actor or one particular stalker. The stalker is the entity, the state of California. California is operating a system of group stalking. That system, the impetus of that system is based on the stalking presence of third parties. This is why they are stalkers, because they are present, engaging and monitoring with the state that is operating that group stalking system. So they are engaged in stalking on behalf of that state while they are intentionally creating activity, while they are intentionally engaging in the criminal element of relevant positioning. And at 2:24, again, I captured this video at 2:26 a.m., so minutes before these particular third parties were captured, you have bathroom monitoring. So you have corporate invasion of privacy. So everything that the targeted individual does, everything that I do is subject to monitoring. It's subject to ongoing invasion of privacy. This is how they engage in creating noise, that is activity that mirrors my every move, mirrors when I swipe my phone screen, mirrors when I stare at an object, mirrors me with the creation of noise as I move abruptly. That's not a series of ongoing coincidences. That is a pattern, creating activity that mirrors my movements, mirrors my activity or any change thereof. That is a definition of that based on the pattern that I have documented. And this is universal with every form, every method of activity, whether it is the airplanes, whether it is third parties outside that are creating noise, whether they are hitting the walls, whether the state is engaged in amplifying the sound of a cracking room, whether they are engaged in sounding a car alarm. It has that same character of mirroring, that is following what I do, creating activity that is noise, following whatever it is that I may be engaged in. So this is basically the act of, to break it down literally, you have a stalking system. The state is stalking with activity, stalking with noise, stalking with presence, and stalking with light, stalking in every way that you can fathom. And it is for the criminal purpose of monitoring. And this is how and why third parties are group stalkers, because they are not there by happenstance. And by there, I mean they are not in the zone of relevant position by coincidence. They are there. Whatever they may happen to be doing while they are there is irrelevant. They are in the zone where the state is present, where the state is stalking, where the state is placing its light objects for the purposes of monitoring with communication devices. They are there where the state is amplifying all manner of activity. They are there while the state is operating a system of group stalking. And that system follows and remains wherever the target individual is at, wherever I am at, as my documentation reflects and proves. It is 2:26 a.m. And again, as I was stating, minutes before this documentation that I'm going to play back, subject to bathroom monitoring, the state inside of my room amplifying noise. And that noise is coming through what is the roof, and I'm on the second floor of this venue. There is no room upstairs, so you're not talking about claiming that someone's walking around just with heavy feet above me in another room upstairs. And not only that, I'm standing at the sink, at the vanity in front of the mirror, And so beside me, there's a thin wall, which is where the shower and the toilet room is. And so it's not a room that's beside me. Immediately beside me is the bathroom where the shower is. But yet on the opposite side of the walls, you can hear hitting through the walls. This is a creation of noise in the same way that they use the television to create activity, in the same way that they use the air cooler to create activity. This is occurring while I am, and by this what I mean is a noise through the wall, through the roof, while I'm using the restroom, while I'm standing at the sink. And so this is moments before I could step outside to document these third parties who are an additional means of activity. And so this is what is occurring 224, 225. As I continue to remain at the vanity, suddenly what you also hear, this is another means of the same conduct, activity creation, which the state amplified. And what was amplified in my room was the sound of thunderous roaring of an engine, sounding of a motorcycle. And the motorcycle was so loud, it sounds as though the third party is literally standing outside in front of my door, roaring the engine of the motorcycle. That's how loud it is. That's how the state amplifies noise. It is targeted audible activity while group stalking is underway. And as also I narrate with regard to P.O.C, the state's light object, that is the fake moon, directly over the parking lot, aligned to my position, my room. This fake moon in the same position where the state's fake sun object remains in the center of the parking lot, aligned to my room during the day. You've got the fake moon in the center of the parking lot, aligned to my room at night. And this is a pattern. I've documented the presence of this fake moon directly above my location at other venues as well, specifically Woodside Senior Apartments. The fake moon directly above that apartment, while a helicopter was documented on video flying directly over the apartment. This is a well-documented pattern. This is what prefaces third-party conduct. And not only are they documented, engaged in the pattern of conduct, they are in relevant position. They are engaged in activity creation with the state, which the state amplified in volume inside of my room for purposes of criminal monitoring. They are engaged in the monitoring system via harassment. And so that is the initiation of an argument, a verbal argument, acting hostile in order to initiate conflict, which the third parties also engage in light activity. This is in video, and the third parties are engaged in patrolling conduct while starting an argument based on hostility, number one, to my documentation, but it is based on engaging and creating activity. And that's what that third party is doing, and that's what needs to be understood. Third parties very often engage in the pattern of conduct of monitoring. That is relevant positioning. That is light activity. That is activity creation through anything audible or visual or sensational. And this third party in particular, this female, engages in, number one, activity creation sensationally. That is through touch, anything you can feel, by reaching out, trying to grab my phone from my hand on more than one occasion. Not only is that legally an assault and battery, but she's engaging in criminal monitoring by seeking to touch my phone. Exceedingly hostile based on her third-party status. And that is the hostility, the argument, which is audible activity, where the state's light object is directly above the parking lot, where they are in relevant position, where group stalking is ongoing, and they are group stalkers documented in the P.O.C. So this is the preface, and this is what I want to share with regard to P.O.C. at 2:26 a.m. Again, prior to the use of these third parties for P.O.C. of monitoring. You have what was bathroom monitoring through a different method of amplifying noise through the walls. And that is followed by what these third parties engaged in, which is why I stepped outside to capture third parties engaged in criminal conduct with the state. And this is 2:26 a.m.
This is directly above an alignment to my room. This is the fake moon. This prefaces what I'm documenting right here, which are group stalkers. While I'm inside of my room, you have the sound of thundering, loud motorcycle inside of my room. This is the example of a group stalker that is third party creating activity that is amplified inside of my room. And this is while the fake moon is in front. I'm not intimidated by you group stalkers. You can back the fuck up. Don't come up on me like that. Don't ever come up on me. Well, you're the one that's breaking the law. And this is license plate 4WUA562.
Breaking the law for what?
What's your name?
Fuck you. What the fuck
No,
you talking
fuck you
about?
then.
What
Fuck
you talking
you.
about?
Fuck you.
What you talking about?
Fuck you.
You better go mind your motherfucking business.
I am minding my business.
What you doing then?
I am minding my business.
What is the
you can
fucking
back
problem?
up out of my face.
What the
third
fuck is the
party.
problem then,
You're a
bitch?
third party.
I ain't no fucking
Or,
third
yes,
party.
You are.
You better back the fuck
You
up,
gotta
bitch.
put your. You're a bitch.
Back up,
You're
bitch.
the bitch.
Back up,
You're the
bitch.
bitch. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Out of the fucking
What are you
room
doing
here,
here?
bitch? That's what I got.
You don't have a right
I
to
got
touch
room
my
here.
shit.
Get the fuck out.
No, I don't
Go.
think. Get the fuck out of what? Get the fuck out of what?
Bitch, I'll break your shit,
Break my
bitch.
shit.
I'll break your
my
shit, bitch.
Get this, because
Get-
this is
get.
third party.
Go on and get.
Get this
What the
third
fuck you-
party.
why are you out here?
RWUA 562.
For what?
4WUA
For what?
562. And this
What
is
law has been
hostility. Bitch, you're breaking
What
the law
law?
right now.
What
That's
law?
called,
What
first of all, that's an assault and battery. First of all, and second of all, you're a
Fuck out my
fucking
face,
stalker. You're the bitch.
Stalker?
You're the bitch, and you're documented as such. You're the bitch. You're the bitch, and this is what third parties act like, and this is what they do. This is the economy in. And what you got is the fake moon up here. So them coming up, him hostile, approaching me while I'm documenting him engaged in P.O.C. Again, this is not the moon. That's a third party over the brick wall over here. They're all in relevant position. And that's an assault on tape. This is a third party facilitating venue engaged in facilitating the state's P.O.C., trying to snatch my personal property, presenting a threat, and acting as the gang mob that they are, hostile to my documenting them engaged in criminal P.O.C. This is P.O.C. And this motorcycle over here amplified in sound in my room, which is why I came down to document them.
Okay, what I want to note here, and I'm going to continue playing, what occurred is this female approaches in relevant position. They are in relevant position the whole time, especially they were in relevant position while I'm in my room, but while I'm outside using my phone, this is the targeted object, the targeted device that's being subject to monitoring. Besides myself, but they're particularly focused on what I'm doing on my phone on the internet, and so I'm in use of a phone, and so this third-party female approaches hostile, and this is form for P.O.C., meaning this is a method of engaging in monitoring by way of starting an argument, being violent, yelling, raising her voice, being confrontational. And this is all creating audible activity. This is the elements of light activity and relevant positioning with communication devices. And while she is instigating an argument, while she's doing that, what the third parties around are standing on both sides of me. They're walking back and forth. The other third party, a black female, she's on video. She's standing at the back of the Jeep vehicle with a light flashing at her thigh. She is engaged in light activity while they are patrolling around. At the end of this argument, this verbal argument, this third party that initially approaches me hostile, calling me out of my name, this is to incite an argument, to incite a fight, which is form for P.O.C. in any way that they can, even violence. This is engaged in while subject to false imprisonment in West Valley Jail and Glen Helen Rehabilitation Center. They engage in violence. That is sensational activity. That's touch. This is the P.O.C. does not ever end. These are different methods of engaging in that criminal system. But with regard to what is on video, while she is engaged in starting an argument, acting hostile, which is audible activity, she's in relevant position while doing so with a communication device. The third parties that are with her are engaged in creating light activity. This is what the black female is doing, standing at the tail of the Jeep. And this is not the first time. At the end of the video, you see her. She's holding light on the opposite side as she remains on the passenger side of the Jeep. She's flashing light, which you can see through the windows. She comes to the tail of the car, flashing light, while all three of them, after the woman engages in calling me out of her name, and I tell her that it's an assault and battery, she does not walk back to the Jeep. She walks to the right. She walks away, and then she turns back around and walks toward the Jeep. What that is called crossing path. Crossing path by walking to the right, and then she walks back to the left. That's called patrolling, when you're crossing path more than once. The reason why they're engaged in that very peculiar conduct after an argument, instead of walking back to the vehicle that she walked from, but she was carrying by the way, this is as an aside, she is with the black male that was on the motorcycle because she's wearing a motorcycle vest. She's called Lady Savage. It says Tiger under that, and she's got an emblem, a logo that says G with a $sign symbol on it. On the back of her vest, it says property of, and the black male that was driving the motorcycle and her are wearing similar vests with the same logos on them. So this is her approaching me on behalf of her, I guess, her male, who approached me in a very threatening manner. And this is why I told him to back up away from me. I was not touching his property. I'm able to operate my phone. I'm in no way violating their rights or breaking any laws whatsoever. And so her hostility, not only is it unfounded, but understand that it is P.O.C. It is P.O.C. how? Because the elements, this is what P.O.C. is about, the criminal elements of monitoring. She's creating audible activity. She's doing so in close quarters, in relevant position with a communication device, and in concert with the third parties that are in close quarters with her. But that is not all. Relevant position is, you're speaking to a zone, a radius, where they are utilized, the state is using communication devices to monitor. And so you're talking not just these third parties, but I am on the property where monitoring is ongoing. The state is surrounding. The state is never not in relevant position, and they have evidence that, and my wealth of documentation demonstrates this. The state engages in sounding sirens at the drop of a dime, and that is also a means of activity that mirrors my movements, my activity, or any change thereof as well. The state is engaged in stalking by airplanes and helicopters. The state is stalking with light, placing its light objects, enhanced light tactics, directly above the parking lot in front of my room, day and night. The state is present, okay? They are acting in concert with the state. And so while she is creating this audible activity, what they do is, while the black woman, she steps to the back, and this is visible, she is engaging in the criminal element of creating activity, light activity. And while she stands there, all three of them, the black male, the female with it says Lady Savage on her front, that engaged in trying to snatch my phone out of my hand twice, and another white male with long hair carrying his phone, staring at it. All three of them walk to the right, and then they walk to the left, at the same time that the black female is standing in an alignment to me at the tail of the car with a flashlight on her phone. That's light activity and patrolling conduct. Those are the elements of monitoring. And this is what they are doing in the midst of creating distraction. You have to look at the substance of the conduct and not get caught up in the distractions, the form, if you will. The creation of the argument, the calling me out of my name, this is to distract from the actual monitoring conduct that is ongoing. And this is visible in the video, but I want to provide additional analysis as to what is visual, because that is the P.O.C. right there. And that is what they were engaged in. And this is why they are group stalkers. And by they represent every other third party. That is the people of the state of California that engage in the P.O.C., the pattern of conduct. That is the criminal elements of monitoring in concert with the state at all times, everywhere that I am at. And this is how they did so here, through engagement in harassment and threatening conduct while P.O.C. is underway, while I am documenting their criminal conduct. And this is that which is attributed to the state, and this is also a pattern with regard to third parties who use violence and threatening conduct as a form for engagement in the state's criminal system. I'm going to continue now.
So she can call me out of my name all she wants. She's a criminal, and that's what group stalkers act like. That's exactly what they act like. That's exactly what they act like. Well, and bitch, what's your name? You want to say your name? You little fake-ass gangster? You're a fucking criminal. You're a group stalker. You a little fake-ass gangster. That's what you are. Talking all that shit. That's what group stalkers do. Excuse my language, but she wants to get down and street-like she's some gangster, and she's not. She's a criminal. You got that?
Okay, so right now what is occurring is they immediately, after they engage in patrolling, she started that argument for the mere purpose of monitoring. She started audible activity. She started cussing me out, trying to incite an argument. When you insult someone, when you engage in insults, when you approach them hostile and in a confrontational manner, you reasonably expect to engage in an exchange. And this is what was the purpose of her doing so. And she did that. They all immediately stopped speaking because the objective is what was accomplished. After creating that audible activity of that argument, all three of them, that is the black male, the white male, and the female herself, engage in walking to the right and then walking to the left, while the black female remained standing in front of me with a flashlight on her phone down at her thigh area. She's creating light activity while they are patrolling. Now they are at the trunk area. In this portion of the video, they're getting belongings, closing the trunk, and that is audible activity as well in relevant position, while the black female again comes from the passenger side and she is creating light activity. This is what she's doing while they are creating audible activity in relevant position. This is concerted third-party conduct, and this is the one example of the ways in which third parties operate together. This is what group stalking is like as well, and this is how you analyze the conduct. And this is how you break down and extract the elements that remain present and the ways in which they engage in those criminal elements. So as the black female walks from the passenger side, while they are standing, she's closing the trunk, creating audible activity. They're standing in relevant position. The black female walks from the passenger side, and she is flashing light as she does so. She's crossing path with light. That's light activity with a communication device, all of them representing a communication device, and that is what is occurring right now on the video. That's P.O.C. We're going to go ahead and proceed.
License plate, you got that conduct. That's third-party conduct. That is all attributed to the state, too. And again, it's 2:25 a.m., and the state is amplifying the sound of this motorcycle inside of my room while I'm in the bathroom. That is the pattern of conduct as well. This is legally relevant with regard to third-party conduct.
Okay, so what I want to note is now they are just standing at the trunk. And my talking is audible activity, by the way. The fact that I'm talking, they're getting activity in that way. They are in relevant position, and the black female, she continues to have a light at her back pocket, her back right pocket. There is a little flash of light coming from her pants. So she either put her phone there, she's got a source of light on the back of her pants as they're all standing at the back of the trunk, aligned to me while I am talking. My voice provides audible activity. This is monitoring that is occurring, and they are engaged in that monitoring with communication devices, creating light activity, remaining in relevant positioning. This is P.O.C.
They are engaged in the pattern of conduct of group stalking and monitoring. That's P.O.C. Again, that's license 4WUA562. That is going on the internet. That's P.O.C. Again, you've got this where the fake sun sits directly over the same venue during the day. It's at the same position at night. That is not the moon. It's called a light source while the state is flying over this property. P.O.C.
The black female continues to walk with this light image on her back pocket. She's just moving with light. This is the same. This is analogous to using the vehicles and using headlights. That's moving light. It is the same thing. This is what she's doing as she's got light coming from her back pocket, and they are walking in relevant position. And while I'm talking, that's a means of activity in and of itself. So they don't even have to say anything. This is monitoring. I am just breaking this down so you can see how this is monitoring from beginning to end, the presence of all elements, and this is third-party conduct, and the intentionality behind having light in her back pocket, the intentionality behind all three of them as a group walking from right to left after starting an argument, which was a form of activity creation, the intentionality behind being present in relevant position while the state is amplifying the sound of the motorcycle inside of my room while I was in the bathroom area, and even moments before this method, the state was engaged in amplifying the sound of noise inside of the bathroom from the roof and through the wall, and this is all monitoring. So we're going to listen to the rest of this video now.
You make sure you report to them. You try to put your hands on me, ho. You make sure you report that. That's third-party conduct. It's 2:29 a.m.
Okay, so that is what occurred at 2:26 a.m. That video is approximately 3 a little over 3.5 minutes. And so the focus is a breakdown on the conduct, which is visual, with regard to the creation of activity via harassment, via threatening conduct, and that is audible activity. So to be clear, while light remains present, but in addition to the light that remains present, the third parties engage in the intentional conduct of light activity, creating light activity. And this is what is seen in the video. The black female continues. This is her role. She didn't say a word. Her role was to provide light, and that's how she continued to do so at the back of the Jeep as she walks from the passenger side of the Jeep, flashing light again as she stands, remaining in relevant position, and in walking away, light remaining at her back pocket as she's doing so. This is monitoring from beginning to end. This is also speaking to the hostility of third parties. This is September 6, 2020. It's currently 4:16 a.m. And this is that which is speaking to ongoing monitoring through the system of group stalking, and that is P.O.C. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I maintain this podcast for the purpose of publishing what is a state-organized system of group stalking, monitoring, surveillance, and harassment. And that is in concert with the people of the state of California, who are group stalking in concert with the state. And the reason why it is called group stalking, the definition of group stalking, is number one, it is organized by the state of California, by the public entity, the state. The state itself, understand, is the stalker. The state is the one that is targeting an American citizen. That is already proven through documentation. Stalking by police, stalking by airplanes, and stalking by helicopters. In addition to police, the substance of engagement in the same criminal monitoring is done by fire and ambulance personnel as well, using criminal use of emergency vehicles to engage in the criminal elements of activity creation, of light creation, of criminal presence, and it is criminal when it's serving the system of monitoring that is being in relevant position. So that is the state stalking aspect. It is group stalking by definition because the people of the state of California are acting in concert with the government that is operating a targeting system. And so that is where they are present in relevant position, and that system remains in operation. They are present on behalf of that government that is stalking that American citizen. This is what is called, by definition, contract stalking, stalking on behalf, presence on behalf of that stalking entity. That is not coincidental. The system is always in operation. And so this is where you have what is called group stalking, or referred to as gang stalking, referred to as contract stalking, because third party presence is pursuant to the pattern of conduct focused on and engaging in conduct, activity, and presence designed to monitor an American citizen. And this is why and how it is group stalking. And this is also that which has yet to be addressed by legislation. And so in many ways, the state has been engaging in that which is not addressed. And you can see why, because it is the government that is engaging in it. And this is why third parties engaging criminal intentional conduct, but this is that which has yet to really be ratified and broken down as to the legal relevance of everything that they are doing. Not saying that they are ignorant of what they are doing. They know very well that it is unlawful. They know very well that it is depraved and twisted. This is why they engage in form and acting like they're unloading their trunk when they are actually engaged in monitoring with their communication device, which they do not have to be talking on their phone. They don't have to hold out their phone. They are present in the zone of relevant position where the state is also stalking. That is the P.O.C. right there. Light remains constant and group stalking is constant. And so you have activity creation is what the state and third parties are perpetually engaging in. And they do it in all of the methods, many of which that I have demonstrated just on the last few broadcasts, using the air cooler in my room, using the television, making third parties outside, amplifying any noise that third parties create. That's speaking to state presence, because the state is the one that is amplifying noise, and making noise, amplifying it through the roof and through the walls. That is amplification of noise. And this is a pattern documented not just at Economy Inn, at Mayfair Inn, at Woodside Senior Apartments, while subject to false imprisonment, which is pursuant to P.O.C. of obstruction and concealment of the state system, never having any probable cause to ever arrest me or imprison me. So this is that which is within a pattern. And I am just speaking to breaking down one example of third parties engaged in P.O.C. and doing so through the method of activity creation by harassment. And this is that which is attributed to the state. Everything that third parties are doing, it is for the purpose of the criminal monitoring system. It is while monitoring is ongoing. It is while the state is operating that criminal monitoring system with communication devices. And so this is where and how you break down conduct and getting past any form. Third parties engage in the P.O.C. in a very friendly way. They engage in the P.O.C. in a very rude and confrontational or violent way. They engage in the P.O.C. While they are engaged in their job or some trade. It is all the same conduct. It is all a means of creating activity while the state system follows wherever that targeted individual goes. And this is what was captured. And this is called the P.O.C. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and again, I am on every platform under my name, my full name, Erica Lorraine Spencer. And I am a black woman, and I have the same exact picture on all of my platforms where I have published the state's engagement in the criminal system of group stalking. And that is on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Tumblr, on YouTube, where I have substantial video documentation. Not only of the P.O.C., the pattern of conduct by third parties in relevant position to me, where I am physically present, where the state is engaged in group stalking, but also that which is the pattern of conduct of criminal concealment and obstruction, seeking to limit my ability to publish my documentation, which is also a criminal act yet to be established and ratified into law. And again, these are not coincidences. It is because the government itself is engaged in this criminal system. But nevertheless, I am on the internet. My documentation is present online, irrespective of the third-party online venues, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Periscope, Twitter, all of YouTube and Google itself engaged in rearranging the internet results when you search my name, engaged in not publishing my platform or my page on their platforms, engaged in not placing my full name such that if you search for me, you get a whole bunch of other names other than the one that you search for. This is Facebook in particular. I have both a profile and a page on Facebook, which it is refraining from publishing on the internet if you search for my full name, and it is that which should be generating, and ordinarily it would generate, but for my publishing that which is incriminating to the state of California. That is criminal conduct on behalf of third parties on the venue that is the internet. That is criminal obstruction and concealment. Again, this is just documenting the ways in which the system is designed to insulate itself. This is insulation of the system is through use of the people of the state of California. Insulation of the system is through facilitating the state's criminal conduct on the internet by obstructing your ability to reach to the public, which presents a credible threat under Civil Code Section 1708.7 and Penal Code 646.9. This is relevant to the prosecution of the state where an American citizen is targeted by the government and without any resolution in the courts, where it is facilitated in that courtroom, where the state is engaged in fictitious and malicious prosecutions, where the police are engaged in false arrests, theft of your property, malicious charges, having no probable cause, engaged in a pattern of physical abuse, engaged in kidnapping for the criminal purpose of monitoring. This is documented conduct by the government, and so the use of the internet is inherent to being able to not only document that state engaged in stalking conduct, but publishing it, which is that which is vital to capturing what the government is engaged in. The court is not an option. The judges in the courtrooms are engaged in the criminal system. And this is not conjecture. This is that which I have gone through and documented. And so this is ongoing progressive documentation going from venue to venue, showing how the law needs to be structured such that the system cannot exist the way that it does. And because it is fully capable and and it is not impervious to prosecution and or exposure. It is 4:25 a.m. And I just had to stay up and make sure that I analyzed that. And this will be uploaded onto my podcast. Again, Erica Lorraine Spencer, my full name, the same uniform identity online, irrespective of third-party defamation and harassment online. Again, that's YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and here on my podcast, which is also published on other excuse me, on other platforms where my podcasts are available, such as iTunes and Radio Public, and I can publish all of that. But you can certainly find my video documentation, particularly with the forms of the state's engagement in placing light objects. That's particularly relevant with regard to what I'm speaking to of constant light. The fake moon, again, captured on November 29th in the same exact location, and this is September 6th now. It is directly in the same location, and you know why? It's because it stays there, just like the fake sun stays all day over this parking lot. The fake moon remains in the same position all day long. And if you could hear that in the background, that is the state engaging in cracking the room. It literally sounds like it's cracking in half. That is amplified noise. That is a means of activity creation. Anyway, it's 4:27 a.m. and that is the P.O.C. Hello. Hi, is this Maria? Hi, Maria. I'm calling to let you guys know again. You guys came last night on the 5th at around 8:40, and the cooler miraculously was already on when you came. It's been engaged in that same conduct of not working all day today, and it is... No, the unit is not working. Okay, you guys always say that when I tell you that someone is hitting the walls, you say you'll go check or it's not happening. Right now, please let me finish. Please let me finish, Maria. The wall unit is not working. I am sitting here in the room that is hot and it is blowing hot air. So yes, it is plugged in. It is obviously receiving power because it's blowing hot air, but it is set on cold and set on air conditioning, and it is not working, and it's been doing that all day long. Just like I told you yesterday and you came down, it's doing the same thing. No, you came. Oh, you have such a short memory. I can play that tape back for you if you like. But you came, and that's when everybody was coming and asking questions in front of my open door. And he came and he looked at the cooler that was already on, and he also showed me how the Wi-Fi was reconnected. It is doing the same thing that it was doing yesterday and that it does every day, turning on and off. And right now it is off. It is set on. You're going off on a tangent, Maria. I'm talking about the air conditioner. He's going to come and look at it. Well, the thing about it is that it's got electricity. So the problem is that it's not that it's not working. The cool air turns off, and it makes very loud noise every time it turns on and off. And it is exceptionally hot. So I told you guys about this yesterday, and you kept me in the same room where it's... Well, how about when you come, then I'll play the tape back for you. I'll play it back because that's a lie. I told you. Okay, so look, my problem is that you guys are getting a payment for this room. So if you're going to keep me in a hot room, you let me know now, and then I'll just leave because I'm not going to stay in a hot room. Sure, you can come and look. That's what you did yesterday. No, you came, Maria, you came yesterday with your companion employee. You guys are the owners, and that's what you did yesterday. You came and looked at it. You did absolutely nothing because there is nothing to do. It is in operation and it's working. It is not blowing cold air, and it's making very loud noise as it continues to go back from blowing cold air to hot air. It keeps this room hot. I do not want to stay in a hot room. You guys kept me... Okay, so you're telling me something that doesn't matter to me. I'm burning up in a room. Okay, sure, you're gonna come check it. That's what you did yesterday. That's fine. And how long are you gonna take to do that? No, it's hot. I've been in here burning all day long. No. Why do you not understand? I told you about this yesterday. No, you do not. I told you about this yesterday. You can yell and try to distract all you want. You already knew about this issue and you did nothing about it when I told you about it initially. I told you about this issue already and you did nothing about it. And now you're telling me, yes, I did. And I'm not going to argue with you on that. I already have it documented. Yes, I did. And you did absolutely nothing. And now you're telling me to stay in hot heat and wait for 30 minutes for you to come do what you did yesterday, which is come look at it. Okay, well, I'm burning up in the room. Okay, I just want to be clear. I told you guys about this yesterday and you came and looked at it. All right, thank you. It is 7:11 p.m. Again, this is P.O.C. There's nothing for them to do. This is a matter of controlling the power that's sent to this machine, and this is why and how it is used as a means of activity creation. This machine turns on and off, meaning the air conditioning function turns on and off, creating noise. It creates a loud noise in the room when it does so, and it is mirroring my movement in the same way that every other method of activity creation mirrors my movement. Group stalkers in the parking lot honk their horns, sound their car alarms, slam doors next to the room, hit the walls, sound in front of my room, engaging in like last night, amplifying the sound of a loud motorcycle inside of my room, mirroring my activity, mirroring my movements. This cooler is being controlled for that criminal purpose of monitoring. This is a third party that I am addressing the same issue with. While she is speaking of coming to look at it, there is nothing to look at. So this is the reality as I know it and as I understand it. What I'm documenting is how they are not actually, because under the law, I'm not supposed to be subject. This room is paid for, supposedly. You're talking about a third party that paid a third party based on my understanding, but I don't care about those details. They're paying for the room, whatever, and they're paying for my stay here. So under that, you are supposed to be in a situation in a room, and if they can't accommodate that, then based on the fact that the room is paid for, you provide another accommodation for that because the services have been paid for. So this is documentation of I have let them know, and again, this is all P.O.C., but I have let them know about the problem. All he did was walk in. My documentation shows miraculously the cooler was in operation when they came. This is per design, okay, and he leaves. The same pattern of conduct remains in existence. The cooler continues to engage in that turning on and off. It just stopped doing it while they came and he came into the room. But even if it was doing it, there is nothing for him to do. It is not a failure of operation. Clearly it's operating, it's blowing air. It is not operating per its manual setting. And it is also in operation plugged into the wall. There's nothing for them to do. This is about allotment of power, controlling how much power it receives in order to function as it's set. And this is a pattern used inside of any location where I'm at. It's a means of creating activity through inanimate objects, which is a very creepy very creepy stalkerish method of activity by the state that is operating this system, that is facilitated by this third-party venue. And this is that which I reported to them. So irrespective of knowledge of P.O.C., I let them know about it. I have been remaining inside of excuse my French, a hot-ass room this is a pattern, but it is exceedingly hot this weekend. And so what you have is extreme heat as it is building up, and this machine is literally blowing out hot air. And it's not only blowing out hot air, it's barely blowing out any air at all. But the air that is blowing out, it is hot. Then the air function comes on as I move, as I use my phone. I've been tweeting about that. It's mirroring my activity on the internet. It's mirroring my physical movements. That's a means of following, that's stalking with noise in the same way that they do with every other method of activity. So this is that which is I remain being subject to not moving me to another room where I can get air conditioning where it's going to function, right? Because in this alter universe where you have where P.O.C. does not exist, P.O.C. is not happening. So in that alternate universe, I should be able to get an accommodation where the air conditioner is working.
So what you want to have is at 7:15 p.m., that is the cooling function coming back on. That is activity creation while group stalking remains constant. That's the element of relevant positioning, and while light remains constant. The state is engaged in placing its light objects above this venue, that is the fake moon, and aiming light onto this environment. So you have not only the building lights outside, but light that is directly aimed onto the front walkway of this outside of my room. And I have a room on inside, and the television is another source of light. This is that which is going to exist by virtue of my existence. And the fact that they use the television as a means of activity speaks to the fact that it is relevant with regard to monitoring. This is why the television is used as another inanimate object creating activity, turning it on and off when I'm not even touching the remote. That's a pattern that I've documented while here at Economy Inn, at Mayfair Inn, at Woodside Senior Apartments. That is the P.O.C. that they also engaged in while subject to false imprisonment, where I was not operating the television, but the television was a means of creating activity. For example, when I moved from the bed in the cell to the toilet, that's bathroom monitoring. They're creating activity while I'm using the bathroom, making any sort of movements. They created activity inside of, that's just an example of how they engaged in the same conduct while subject to false imprisonment inside of the detention center, West Valley Detention Center, engaging in that at Glen Helen. So that is P.O.C., and that is it coming on in real time. This is a pattern because there is nothing for them to fix. This is a matter of power being allotted. And it is what I want to speak to is the relevance of legislation which needs to be addressed, where the state is engaged in operating in an egregiously unconstitutional and unprecedented level of criminal monitoring of an American citizen. That is being carried on by the government itself in the midst of a system that is insulated to conceal itself, to obstruct its ever being exposed and prosecution of itself. You're talking about the court system engaged in monitoring, engaged in defamation, engaged in false imprisonment, which is criminal obstruction of the targeted individual that seeks to file a lawsuit against the state of California that seeks to expose it thereby. So you have where there is no resolution in the court system, where the police and the judges are the state actors facilitating that system. You have the creation of that which needs to be addressed by the law. And so systematic infliction of inhumane suffering is that which characterizes the state's system. So creating an excessive amount of heat inside of a room, which is an uninhabitable space to live in, and it's unlawful under the law. You're talking about landlord-tenant law, where you're paying for a room in a hotel or motel. It is the same standard where you're not supposed to be subject to that which is uninhabitable for an ordinary human being. It is exceptionally hot, and they are exacerbating the heat that already exists by keeping the air cooling unit off and blowing, in addition to that, blowing hot air into the room. And this is serving a criminal purpose of monitoring. So this is that which is within a pattern. Stalking with light, using the state's fake light source. This is a literal fake sun object, which if you review my documentation on YouTube, I have documented the ongoing stalking presence of what is a fake sun object, because it is not the sun that moves in all manner of direction, remaining directly above my head at all hours of the day. And then at night, a fake moon is directly above me in that same location. That is not the sun, that is not the moon. These are called light enhancement tactics. This is serving the criminal purpose of monitoring, where light is instrumental, it is central in monitoring with communication devices where group stalking is underway. So they remain present where light remains present, and there is a continuous creation of activity, audible activity, visual activity, and or sensational activity. For example, what the third party in the parking lot engaged in. Miss Lady, quote, Lady Savage with Tiger on the motorcycle with the piercings in her face, that was engaged in P.O.C. By virtue of touching and by engagement in P.O.C. by being in relevant position, by raising her voice, inciting an argument, which is audible activity. That was all manner of P.O.C. So what you have is stalking by light. That is a systematic form of infliction of inhumane suffering, such that it creates excessive heat. It is exceptionally peculiar and odd, and something that you begin to notice as a literal fake sun object remains directly above your head, which is something that is exceptional, never having occurred ever before,
documenting the ongoing stalking presence of the police and the ongoing stalking presence of the state by airplanes and helicopters. These are that which coincide and coexist. And so you have this fake sun object remaining directly above me, remaining directly over the environment where I remain, resulting in burns to my person, resulting in excessive heat. This is a form of suffering. In addition to the impossible light activity where the state is engaged in aiming light onto your person and doing that by the masses, where the state is engaged in using its fake sun object as form as third parties drive by in their cars, and as each one drives by, light is traveling across your person, which is in no way ever happening based on the actual position of the sun and based on the direction that the vehicles are going. Light and sunlight does not behave like a laser, and this is what is occurring with that ILA treatment. That is a form of systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. That is a violation of the targeted individual's reasonable sensibilities. Any ordinary person violated by that, and it serves an unlawful purpose. In this room, you have the engagement in P.O.C. It's not peculiar to this room, I'm just using it as an example because this is where I am, this is where P.O.C. is underway. Stalking by noise, stalking by activity, where any move that you make, every time you change to a different app, every time you go to a different web page, every time you engage in uploading something to the internet or tapping on a specific button, it is followed by some manner of noise, some method of audible activity in any form, be it a helicopter or an airplane, be it police sirens or ambulance fire sirens, be it some third party outside of your door screaming their head off, sounding a car alarm, hitting the walls, sounding like the room is cracking in half, an amplified sound of, say, a motorcycle inside of your bathroom. You're talking about all method of activity, anything that you can hear. That is what is the purpose of monitoring. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just the fact that it is audible. It is the conduct itself, the substance of that conduct and what it achieves. And any way that you engage in it, whether it is by flying directly over my room, amplifying the sound of a helicopter, or it is a dog that is barking outside that is amplified inside of your room, this is the same conduct of creating activity that is has a stalking affect. It literally is following you, following what you do, following you as you do it. The same stalking conduct by the police and by the state in airplanes and helicopters and by the state's fake sun object that remains directly above your head everywhere that you are traveling. And coincidentally, the moon, where everywhere you go, it seems to be the center of the universe as the sun is directly above you and the moon is directly above you, which is in contradiction to nature. This is how you know it is not actually the moon that is above you. That is a light source hanging at low elevation directly above you and in front of your environment. That is a light source during the day, remaining at all hours of the day when the sun is in constant motion, moving from east to west, not ever directly over 2301 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, in addition to every other venue where I have located and documented the same exact conduct of this fake sun object squarely above me at that location. And this is whether I go north, south, east, or west. This is the fake sun object moving backwards, meaning it's moving backwards to the east when I'm traveling east to stay directly above me and in front of me when it is supposed to be traveling in a constant motion west from the east. This is in contradiction to nature. It's in contradiction to common sense. It is in contradiction to scientific fact. And this is not that which is reasonably questioned. It is only third parties that are acting in compliance to the state system, positing and seeking to not only render illegitimate, which they can't because they're combating facts, which they can't with defamation and targeted harassment. They're acting pursuant to P.O.C. in doing so. They have no facts that substantiate any unrational and basically vacuous. It is a baseless argument to state that the sun remains directly squarely over your head everywhere that you travel. That's not true. That is not true. And there is plenty of, and actually my entire life, I have never actually experienced looking up in the sky and always seeing the sun directly above me. That's not true. And not only that, when you move from one place to another, that requires movement for you to travel a substantial difference and for that same light object to remain in its same location relevant to you. You're talking about when you're looking at it through a window and it's remaining in the center of your window no matter how far you travel, no matter what direction you're traveling in. This is P.O.C. And this is how you identify what is a pattern of stalking with light, which is a systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. Stalking by light, stalking by noise, and stalking by person, stalking by the government, and stalking by its third parties that are present on behalf of that stalking entity. What is occurring inside of the room at Economy Inn is an act of criminal conduct of monitoring. It is the engagement in, and that is a systematic engagement in, the element of activity creation inside of my room using an inanimate object, where it is clearly, this is a comfort series. It is an old machine. It is plugged in. It is receiving power. It is not that it is not receiving power. It's not that it's not set to air conditioning or that I'm changing the setting. You have what it's literally doing, operating on its own. And I put that in air quotes because it's not operating on its own literally. It's operating on its own insofar as I am not touching it. It's operating on its own insofar as the power which is being restricted and added and taken away from, which is what affects its going from blowing pursuant to its manual setting, which is air conditioning, which it remains in constantly until you manually change that setting, and then the state is engaged in changing that power that is allotted to the machine, and such that it engages in stopping blowing that air. And this is what has occurred right now. 7:26 p.m. So this is real-time documentation of what is occurring on a ceaseless basis in the room. And this is that which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct at every other venue where I documented the same. And this is that which is occurring. It's in contradiction, meaning there are no facts that support that it's occurring based on the design of the machine. And not only that, all facts remain relevant when you are assessing and identifying and prosecuting a state engaged in group stalking. And so you have that which is coexisting with the state engaged in stalking by police, airplanes, and helicopters. It is not outlandish nor unreasonable to suggest that the state is engaged in controlling that which is inside of the environment where that targeted individual remains, engaged in controlling the lights, which has been documented as well, engaged in controlling the electricity that flows to that unit. They're engaged in corporate surveillance and invasion of privacy, listening to every move you make, when you make it, surrounding you with activity that is noise, at the same time that you are engaging at. And so this is how and why they are engaged in this means of what is activity creation serving a criminal purpose while also inflicting a systematic form of suffering, which is that which needs to be addressed by legislation. And that's my purpose in documenting it and also getting to the bigger picture, which is it is not about seeking to try to defame a targeted individual that is pointing out weird peculiarities around them. And any other targeted individual I am not aware of that has gone through this, and it's very likely because it is designed to defame that targeted individual. It is designed to defame them and depict them as suffering a mental incapacity, but this does not hold up where you have direct evidence of the state stalking you, because that is what prefaces all other facts. The state is the state is a stalker, and the state is the one that's operating a group stalking system. And this is a matter of factual evidence that is published, that exists now with perpetuity, in addition to the fact that they stalk with perpetuity. Well, the documentation and facts exist with regard to the evidence of that stalking conduct. And so that is not a question, the fact that the state is stalking. And the effort to defame does not work. And it is that which third parties continue to engage in, but that is just the pattern of conduct. That's the system in operation. That is what you expect a third party to do. This is how you identify a third party, by the way. But you have the evidence of that conduct. And so that in and of itself is context to everything that you identify with regard to your activity. And you look at the substance of whatever it is that you are identifying. You're talking about a television that is, and again, this is as a matter of fact on video. I have it while I am holding up my phone, the television literally turning back on by itself. I am not touching it. And that is also a pattern of conduct, in addition to the fact that I have no reason to lie or exaggerate. Not only have I spoken of stalking by police, stalking by airplanes and helicopters, and have proven it in video, there is no reason for me to then come up with some other additional fables that the TV is turning on and off by itself. I don't need to do that. The most extreme form of a story that you can make up is that the police and airplanes and helicopters are following you, and I'm not making that up because it is already proven, and it is that which has been in operation for years, and I began documenting it in video in 2018. And so this is that which is in conformity to the pattern of conduct. This is how the state engages in stalking an American citizen while they're inside of their private residence, using the very items inside of the area where they remain, whether they remain inside of a jail subject to false imprisonment, or whether they are inside of a private residence or a third-party venue where the inanimate objects are used as a means of activity creation. This is P.O.C. This is the third party, so we're going to get this. She has arrived. And again, everything that occurs, this is occurring while the state is engaged in monitoring. Everything is under that context. This is P.O.C. It's 7:31 p.m. Hello.
Hi. Hi. The air can is cool, not hot.
It is hot in here. Do you see my face? It's glossy.
But you
I'm
have
hot.
to come a little bit outside because you're staying
No,
inside in the room.
I'm not paying. The room is not paid for me to be outside. And so if it's set to cool, I don't understand why it doesn't stay on cool. Because last night when you came,
Because it's outside is too hot. That's why it's a little bit hot here. Yeah. It's too hot outside.
okay, one more time. You're saying what? The air conditioner's not working. Why?
No, because last night me and the guy came. You just asked about the Wi-Fi.
No, I did not. I asked about the air conditioner. That's why
you tell the guy because I'm not here that time.
You can overtalk me all you want, Maria, but this is why he came and looked at the cooler, which was running when you arrived.
Okay?
No, it's not.
Look it.
It's not on cool.
It takes time. It's not going like a magic to cool
It's
the whole
not on
room.
cool. And it's
No, it's cold. Look it.
no, it's not. It just turned off, and I just documented that. So I'm not going to debate with you. The thing about it is it's excessively hot in this room. And you have received money, as far as I know, for this room that I'm staying in. And this is now the second time that I'm telling you that it is hot beyond what I can naturally
because
bear.
outside is too much hot. That's why. Too much hot outside. Is every room have the same thing, not only your room.
No, I don't think so.
How you know?
This is not... First of all, this is...
Outside is 130 degrees.
Okay, are you done? So this is the cooling function, and this is the fan that is blowing more air than it is in the cooling function. And not only that, when the air conditioner is on, the motor runs because it is blowing cold air. This is not refrigerated cold air. It's blowing it's blowing less air than the fan at the same temperature as the fan. Why do I have to break all of this down to you? I don't know, but this is not the air conditioning function, and it is very hot in this room. In addition, you have received payment for this room. This is now the second time that I've called you and let you know I'm in here sweating, and the air conditioning is turning on and off, and it's making loud noise while it's doing.
Only for the fun days. I'm not here the maintenance.
Well, you're here
lady.
right now, and I'm telling you.
Let me tell my maintenance guy he gonna come and look.
You said that already. Why didn't you come with the maintenance
You
guy?
said no maintenance guy.
No,
said
that's
no.
not. You said you're gonna bring him. We got off the
listen,
phone.
In the phone, I'm not the maintenance lady. I don't know how to do it. I already
And you
told
said you were gonna bring the
No.
maintenance.
No. I told my
This is why I
maintenance
document
guy.
you, because you want to twist around
No,
words.
you don't listen good, and then after you say
You
I'm
twist
telling
around
you,
words.
No,
Yes, you do, ma'am.
always lying to
You-
us. Always lying
Oh,
to
you
us.
are accusing me of lying now? What am I lying about?
I told you that I don't know how to do the air conditioner. I can talk with my maintenance guy. He gonna come and look at it. You say you can come and look at. That's why I come and look at here.
That is not what I said. You
Yeah,
said you're.
you said
Why
no.
would I say you come?
I
What
don't
are you
wanna-
gonna do?
I
I
don't wanna
said.
argue with you
Excuse me.
Because
What
you
I
too
said
much
was
argue
you
with
came.
us.
Let me finish. You said you're gonna come. I said, what are you gonna come for? You're gonna do exactly what you did last night, which is come and look at it,
I'm
because
gonna
there
just
is
look
nothing
at
that you're gonna
sometimes
fix.
people put in the
So that is not
box.
what I said. Because you coming and look at it does nothing. So don't call me a liar, and I
Because
take
you
that as
don't
an
listen
insult.
anything,
No.
that's why.
You're calling me a liar, and that's an insult. On
Because-
top of the fact that you're leaving me in a hot ass room.
There's no hot inside.
It is
You
hot.
have to listen.
It is hot in here.
My
It is
maintenance
hot.
guy come
You
and
already
check.
said you were going to do
Give
that,
me a
and now it's been
second.
15
Give me a
minutes,
second.
and you
give
still
me
didn't
a
bring
time
them.
or no? Give me a second.
We had this
I'll call my
conversation on the
maintenance
phone. You're stalling. We had this conversation already.
Because you tell me the same thing.
No, it's
that's
not
why.
because of nothing. I said you came and looked at it. I know exactly what I said. And by the way, this is called audible activity. This is all this is. This is activity. Be clear, elements remain.
All the time you take the video for other guests too, and they complain in the office.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, last night there is the bicycle guy.
What bicycle guy?
They have a bike, and then he came. There is a little bit noise, and you took the video, and the guy came to office, and they complain us. Yeah.
Did they tell you that they put their hands on me?
Yeah, you have a phone and you take the video. That's why.
No, I have a phone and I can use my phone just like I have it now. They have no right to put their hands on me. And second of all, how do you know what room I was in? How did they know what room I was in?
They come to office and tell us.
They told you what room I was in?
One lady outside and she took the video. That's why.
Oh, so you had a whole group of them go to the office?
You're not listening.
No, I listen exactly. I'm putting the facts together, honey.
Okay.
How do they know what room I was in? How do they know what room I was in?
I don't know, because you're outside, that's why.
No. They walked away that way. How do they know what room I was in?
There is a room and I know, I'm checking the
So the
guests.
third parties that were engaged in putting their hands on me told you what room I was in, and that's how you know that I recorded somebody on video, which is not illegal conduct. But they broke the law putting their hands on me. Is that what you're saying? Huh? How do they know what room I was in?
Because they complain this way, I told you. Otherwise,
How did they can complain all they want. How do you know it was me? All the rooms here, how do you know it was me in this room? How do you know?
There's one lady outside, that's why.
What lady? What lady knows what room I'm in? You got caught up, Maria. Why don't you come back with the maintenance like you said you were? And by the way, that is all audible activity.
1 second, the guys come back for the ICP, please.
Sure. What's your name?
Mine?
Yeah.
Jessica.
Jessica, you work here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, Jessica. This is third parties getting caught up on their own speech. You're talking about third parties that are engaged in P.O.C., right? This is a group stalking system. But the assumption is that the targeted individual is delusional, making it up, is paranoid. And so based on that form, this is the malicious design of that system, third parties don't exist, and they are just present, and they just happen to be present while the state is also always present by police and airplanes and helicopters. And so where would they have any idea what room I came from? Where would they have any idea to know what room that I'm in, and how does she know that it was me that was outside in the room? I'm the one that was physically assaulted as she tried to grab my phone twice. I'm the one that was engaged in perfectly lawful conduct, just like they can park and have their sounds amplified in my room, which is what actually occurred. I can step outside and capture video of the moon. I can step outside and capture video of the parking lot all I want. They have no right to engage in what is an unlawful assault, which is what the female did. And also that male approaching me, I have this on video. But not only that, what she just admitted to impliedly and ignorantly is the fact, while she's engaging in P.O.C., understand everything we're saying, it's just audible activity. While she's in relevant position, the state is engaged in operating a system on a ceaseless basis of group stalking and monitoring. And so she's engaged in going off on a tangent, and I'm just merely tripping her up by the facts. Now, everything that is said, you're talking about deliberate conduct. The state is engaged in while acting as though there is no stalking conduct, then at the same time, how do you know what room I was in? So she says, oh, the lady with the video. What lady with the video? And what lady with the video knew what room I was in as well? So you had a whole group of them. I captured them on video walking back toward the office. I took more footage of the parking lot, which appeared empty. There was nobody else out there. So what you have is, this is just relevant with regard to the system. You have a target. I am the targeted individual. I am documenting a system of group stalking and monitoring in the state of California, and this is what third parties do. Not only are they despicable and disgusting, mentally disturbed, not such that they don't know what they're doing, like there is no criminal liability, because that's not the case. It is demented, it is demonic, twisted activity, group conduct that the state is organizing. The state is at the pinnacle of it, the one that is operating that system, and they are acting with it. And so part of that conduct is to depict and engage in that which would seek to depict the targeted individual as one that is paranoid, even in the face of facts that directly prove everything that they are claiming. And so I just want to highlight that, what she just said, inability to answer my question, common sense questions. Oh, okay, so you know that it was me. How do you know that it was me? How do they know what room I was in? What part of what part of that did that come to? When did they see what room I came out of? When did they see what room I went back into? As I documented them walking out of the parking lot. They were specifically not speaking as the black female kept the light activity at her pocket, and they walked east toward the office area and disappeared. And I took an additional picture of the parking lot, which was empty, and they were gone by the time I got up the stairs. And so, what in reality, group stalking does not stop; they remain in relevant position. But you're talking about dealing in the state's little twisted, altered universe where group stalking is not really existing. And so, you operate on those facts, and this is why I do what I do, reporting to them that the air conditioner doesn't work, even though it is the criminal means of activity creation inside of my room. So, you want to operate under those facts? That's fine, and I just document the P.O.C. as I know exists, because this is a system that is a secret. It is a system that has yet to be exposed and prosecuted at large. It has yet to be outlawed on the books under the law. And so you are engaged in tolerating third parties. You are engaged in, at every moment, bringing third parties to the light, just like this third party is doing, lying. I documented last night. I told them twofold about not only the air, but as well as the Wi-Fi, which is documented. Okay, she's engaging in creating audible activity. She's just engaging in monitoring. Very aware of the fact that she's lying, the fact that they know that because they're monitoring my documentation, everything is being monitored, and so by they I mean group stalkers. They are third parties acting with the state. And so there's no mystery there. Understand that the substance of all of this is audible activity in relevant position while light remains present. You are monitoring with communication devices at 7:41 p.m. And so you just want to hone in on that commentary that third party employee just made. And not only that, that is just another form of seeking to harass me while I am documenting the state and third parties engaged in unlawful conduct of criminal monitoring with communication devices. Not only is it necessary and absolutely appropriate and lawful to document criminal conduct, I can use my phone doing whatever I want. They're using their cell phones in an unlawful manner, and I am using my cell phone in a very cunning and appropriate manner to document that criminal conduct. And it's not only is it lawful, it's absolutely appropriate and necessary, but you have a pattern of third parties that engage in that. But it's the same thing with use of third-party security cameras. Perfectly lawful, also very cunning and necessary, where the state is engaged in stalking, where the state is criminal, where the state is the stalker, where third parties are acting with that state. They are stalking on behalf of that state. Use the security cameras of that third-party venue against themselves. You experience direct harassment, where it is, in other words, that which is captured on video anyway. You are not breaking any law or causing any disturbance. The issue is that you are engaging in exposing that system in operation, because there is no basis, where there is no reason, there is no cause in any way to be frustrated or angry or hostile or harassing or threatening based on standing in front of a security camera, which everyone is doing by mere presence on the property. And that is what I have done as well, and that's what I continue to do. And that is P.O.C, and it's the same conduct, third-party hostility to documentation. And that is state and third-party alike. It's 7:43 p.m., and you hear her clearly engaging in P.O.C for audible activity, claiming implausibly that the air is running. It is not. It is hot in this room. My face is glossy because it is so hot, and she's claiming that I never called them to report the air conditioning, which is a direct lie. Again, this is all audible activity. She's just creating activity. That's it. That's all she's doing. It is monitoring. The fact that the air cooler is used as a means of activity is P.O.C. This is a third-party facilitating venue. She's an employee. She knows this. They have no intention of remedying this issue. This is why she came without the maintenance man, which she claimed on the phone she was going to bring in the first place. So she comes, engages in P.O.C stalling. That is P.O.C, period. It is 7:44 p.m. And this is we have the total stop. It stopped altogether. It's not blowing any air whatsoever, not even hot air anymore. Yeah, so it's not blowing on fan, not blowing on cool, not blowing anything. It's 7:44 p.m. That is activity creation as well.
No, 1 second. The guys only check.
What are you, Jessica?
Jessica.
Jessica? Okay. Jessica's just patrolling in front of my door. She's walking back and forth while the cooler is engaged in turning completely off. That's a third party remaining in relevant position. And she is engaged in P.O.C. in the form of the fact that I have called them and reported that which they are aware of. It's P.O.C. And the air, the hot air, again, begins blowing again. This is not the air conditioning function. This is all P.O.C. This is informative insofar as listening to this is all ongoing, progressive, real-time documentation of what third parties do, what the targeted individual is actually. Well, I am one that happens to be aware of P.O.C., and I am actually capturing it moment by moment and analyzing it in the way in which you are able to identify when a state is engaged in a system, a targeting system that is focused on the use of communication devices to monitor, and they do that through the system of group stalking. And I am engaged in demonstrating how, through all of my forms of documentation, the ways in which this system has formally been able to conceal itself. And mainly it's through the people of the state of California who are the form behind which the state that is the stalker hides itself, hiding behind the very people of the state of California who are stalking on its behalf. And it is behind the faces of the people of the state of California that it adapts, and by it I mean the system takes on its face of normalcy. Without awareness of your being targeted by the state, you have no idea that the people surrounding you are present on behalf of that state, meaning you have no idea that you are being group stalked. You are subject to contract stalking. You're subject to gang stalking. You otherwise have no idea that it is occurring. The facts that I have documented and exposed and published speak to how all those facts play out and what group stalking, what gang stalking is by definition, and the ways that you identify it such that it is exposed, such that it is prosecuted and outlawed by legislation. Because, like I said, it is not impervious to being exposed. The elements of monitoring remain: light, activity, and relevant positioning. Light is constant. The state is engaged in using very extreme, systematic means of inhumane suffering in order to keep light on the targeted individual, day and night. The state is engaged in group stalking via the people of the state of California and the state itself, stalking by airplanes and helicopters and police, using fire and ambulance, all of which use their state status, their vehicles as criminal means of engagement in monitoring, the elements of monitoring, which is the P.O.C. And so activity is an ongoing thing. And so while I'm staying in here, this is the substance of what I'm documenting now, I'm staying in what is a third-party facilitating venue because the system is ceaselessly underway, and you're just listening to what is a conversation between one who is documenting the third parties that are communicating with me while P.O.C. is underway. And so in everything that is occurring, understand that all elements remain present. Every word that you utter is audible activity. It's something that you can hear. Monitoring is continuous. Whether she's sitting up lying, whether she's falsely accusing me, trying to come up with something else to incite an argument, mentioning, i.e., the fact that somebody knew what room I was in or whatever, this is all audible activity. And this is coming from the mouth of a third party. And this is coming from the mouth of a third party that is acting in concert with the state in relevant position with a communication device where the group stalking system is in operation. And so you also have to be able to take a step back and look at the forest from the trees, or the trees from the forest, however you want to. People have different ways of communicating it, but the idea is that you look at the big picture. All elements are remaining, and this is P.O.C. And that's what I'm showing. And this is inside of the room where you have using the cooler. It's a comfort series. Yeah, comfort series. And I've shown how old it is. There is no question about the fact that it's not capable of operating with the remote. It's not some sophisticated, fancy device where it's operating, pursuant to some setting where it can operate by itself. Not only is it not operating at all, it's blowing hot air and it's excessively hot inside of this room. But this is also that which is within a pattern. The state is engaged in a pattern of using inanimate objects inside of the area where the target individual remains, where I remain, as a means of creating activity. And this is the bigger picture. And so my purpose is I'm calling the third party themselves, letting them know about their uninhabitable room that is quote unquote paid for by another third party. And so based on that, I'm stuck in a room that is exceedingly hot, and she is coming up with all manner of what is audible activity, excuses to keep me in the same room where it is something that is excessively hot because it's not operating the way that it should be. And it is a form of it is a method of criminal engagement of activity creation for monitoring. And they have no, even if I were to go to another room, understand that the same criminal conduct of creating activity inside of my room using inanimate objects, including third-party group stalkers hitting the walls and the state amplifying the sound of what sounds like a cracking room, engaging in rumbling the room, engaging in amplifying sounds of third parties inside of the room continues because the P.O.C. is ceaseless. And so this is what this is valuable of. And so I just want to continue to place all of it into context, because you are able to witness what is not only the operation of the state's criminal system of group stalking in operation at this third-party facilitating venue, and my contacting them and addressing what is a means of criminal conduct, but we're not addressing it in that context. We're just addressing it within the context of the fact that I am entitled to a room that is not excessively hot. I'm entitled to a room where the air conditioner is supposed to work and should be working and is not working, and she is creating an implausible argument. And remember, while she's doing that, it's audible activity for monitoring. And she's making an implausible argument, number one, that I never told them about it. Number two, that it is actually blowing cold air. Like I am not standing there able to use my common sense and see the fact that it is not blowing cold air, that I don't know the difference between when it's or I'm sitting in the room listening to it turn on and off all day. This is that which she knows is ridiculous. You're talking about a third party that's just engaging in P.O.C. And that's what all of it is, P.O.C., the pattern of conduct. Okay, so when I am saying that is P.O.C., what am I saying? I am literally saying that it is the pattern of conduct for monitoring. It is merely the engagement of activity creation. She's just making noise. Okay, nothing that she says matters. She is a lying third party. She's just making noise. It is all engagement and monitoring. While she is engaged in form, having no intention of putting me in a different room, having no intention of this cooler operating. It's not. This is a means of P.O.C. inside of the room. And so that is what I just want to be clear, that I break that down and understand the significance of it, of what I'm recording on my podcast. And this is relevant documentation, speaking to the malice of the system, speaking to the facilitating character of this venue, because the facts speak for itself. The facts speak for themselves. And on the day of prosecution, because it is inevitable, and this documentation precedes that, and the wide exposure of the state of California for this criminal system, and this is that which is placed into a universal context, the P.O.C. that exists at every place that I'm at, and the ways in which third parties engage in that system, and the literal vacuous content of whatever it is they say. It does not matter what they say. It's the same thing with what I'm talking about when you're looking at outward form. This is the conduct that you're concentrating on. She's speaking words, she's engaged in P.O.C. They're present in relevant position, they're engaged in P.O.C. And what you want to note at 7:53, this is the sound of the air conditioning unit on. That's the sound of it on. Whereas before it's blowing, just blowing air, hot air, that is not the air conditioning at all. And so again, what is that? That's literally the allotting more power to the unit so that the air conditioning function begins to operate. And then they take away from the power allotted to the unit such that it just blows air, and it's not enough power for it to function in the setting that it's on, which remains at air conditioning. So that's the pattern of conduct. It's a comfort series. It does not have a temperature control device. It's old. It's a relic. And not only that, it coexists with the state stalking presence. And so what is the substance of that conduct? It is creating activity. The state is using it as a means of monitoring. In addition to that, it is within a pattern that has already been well documented, and other venues where I remained were the same pattern of using inanimate objects to create activity while the state was engaged in stalking by airplanes, helicopters, and police, and with its fake light directly above that location, whereas the fake sun object is directly above this location during the day. This is what is called impossible. That is impossible that the sun remains directly above me wherever I happen to be at, regardless of that location or the direction of that location, but that's the pattern. And this is how you connect all the parts of what is in operation, which is a system of group stalking and monitoring, surveillance, and harassment. And this is what is attributed to economy, and every word that third party utters, it serves the criminal purpose of monitoring, but it also has a legal context with regard to their engagement in the pattern of conduct with the state, their engagement in facilitation of that state conduct, of that state system, and their engagement in harassment while doing so, facilitating an environment where I am subject to excessive heat inside of the room. This is a systematic inflicting a form of suffering, serving a criminal purpose, and this is within a pattern. And this is that's what I'm showing the significance of all of that is. And so it's 7:56 p.m. And this is, again, you just want to recall what third parties do. Not only do I understand they don't have any substance, it serves the purpose of criminal monitoring, but I call third parties out all the time and test them on the lies that they speak. And so she said on the phone she was bringing him a maintenance guy, which she did not do. She came and she just engaged in P.O.C. monitoring, and then she leaves Jessica in front of the door, who is engaged in monitoring, patrolling in front of my door while this machine is turning on and off. That's exactly what is going on all day long by the group of third parties, and engaged in saying she's going to come back with the maintenance, and it's been an excessive amount of time, and they have yet to return with that. This is P.O.C. and this is third-party conduct. They are liars. They are criminals. They are depraved and very sick individuals who act with intention and criminal motive while they engage in group stalking with the state, nonetheless. Yes. And that is specific to third-party insiders as well. Those who are particularly known to the targeted individual, those who I know by name, those who I know personally or quote unquote thought I knew, and they are third parties who have been engaged in that state system with the state, engaged in group stalking for years, and they operated as a third party in the form of a friend, in the form of a family member, in the form of a co-worker, a boss. You're talking about the system in operation in all areas of your life, including the place where you quote unquote worship. So you're talking about the system in ceaseless operation, and this is documentation of that system in every area of my life. This is what I am documenting, and this is why it is substantive evidence of what the state has been engaged in for years. It's 7:58 p.m., and that is P.O.C. That is a third party, a white male wearing a black hat, an orange shirt, and jean bottoms that is just sitting in front of my room while the cooler is operating in the same way, claims to be cleaning it. When it doesn't need to be cleaned, the air needs to be on. And he removed the filter area on the front of it such that it is exposed outside. And I'm going to go ahead and upload a picture of that right now. That's P.O.C. by a third party. You've got another third party, license plate 5. Look at that. 5 Robert Edward Wendy 046, a short Latino male, black hat, black shirt with stripes, horizontal stripes, black shorts, and stripes down the side of his shorts. He's wearing black high top shoes as well. He walks away from his car. He's in relevant position while this third party is engaged in relevant positioning. The third party walks away from the cooler. He claims that he's cleaning it, and if this is supposed to be his job, he leaves it exposed. He walks away from it and claiming that he was cleaning it, and now it's leaking water, whereas before it was not leaking any water. This is that which you can also keep track on my documentation as third parties find form for engagement in my room. Like I said, this is progressive documentation. It just, you go from moment to moment to moment while they're engaged in P.O.C. The license plate of that third party is relevant because he's sitting in his car aligned to the position of the third party that was in front of my room. They are in relevant position. You have more third parties that are hiding beside the dumpster in relevant position in front of my room. This is P.O.C. while they are controlling the cooler, turning it on and off, affecting the power, while they are creating activity thereby as third parties surround with communication devices. This is group stalking. And here is another third party engaging in crossing path, walking past my room. As he knows that I saw him standing at the open doorway of his room beside me to my right. This is P.O.C. This is group stalking. This is what they do. So the third party in aforesaid license plate is just standing in the center of the walkway. He represents a communication device while the third party group stalker that walked past crossed path on my opposite side. That's called being surrounded in close quarters by third parties. That's group stalking. That's called safe stalking by sirens. Right in front of me. This is excellent. This is why I'm going to go back outside, because I can tolerate the heat and the group stalking conduct outside, where I capture these cowards every single moment. And by cowards, I really mean that. When I capture their license plates, when I get their pictures, they literally run because they are really disgusting creatures that are engaged in a highly depraved system. And me being in this room that is being generously paid for, where I did not solicit for that, where I remain subject to the state system. This is not a series of coincidences that it's occurring where I'm being placed inside of a room. That is being generously provided. You have another third party that's crossing path, walking in the parking lot. That's crossing path in relevant position with a communication device. This is group stalking. It's group stalking conduct. All in relevant position. The 60 freeway is directly in front of my room. The same place where, if you review my documentation, the state is flying directly over in front and past my room over the freeway, flying directly above my room, turning in circles and repeating that conduct. This is the state system of group stalking as I exit. Noting this third party that is bending down in front of the cooler on the outside, removed the cover and claimed to be cleaning it, spraying it while it's leaking with water. I just want to make sure that I expose it for everything that it is. And that is what I'm doing. I'm going to call the office now. It's 8:11 p.m. Okay, Erica Lorraine Spencer here. Just a couple notes on the last few moments of my podcast. You hear, as I open the door, I am addressing a third party that is bent down in front of my room, has removed the exterior cover of the wall cooler. And the reason why I knew that is because he's creating audible activity in my room. He's making noise that I heard inside of my room. So I open the door and I see a third party engaging in holding a spray bottle, has removed the exterior cover of the wall cooler that is engaged in turning on and off. I see water on the ground, and the conversation is that he is cleaning it. I ask him why he's cleaning it. He says he just felt like it, and that is problematic also for another reason, because you have some strange man that is engaged in bending down, crouching in front of my room, right outside my window, and stating that he just feels like spraying the unit, just going around taking off the parts of the building outside of my room, which is the creation of audible activity while in relevant position. That is very creepy, stalkerish conduct. That is disconcerting. But again, what you have is form. You have third party Maria, who engages in, excuse me, but it's just, she is a third party that's speaking to the fact that this third party is the maintenance. This third party is engaged in P.O.C. that I have observed many times, but again, he's also present, engaged in form of being the maintenance, and that's why, according to Maria, or she pronounces her name Maria, that he works here even though he did not even identify himself as such, and when I asked him why he was doing what he was doing, he did not identify himself as the maintenance worker engaging in that which is a part of his job. He says that he just started taking apart the cooler and spraying it and cleaning it, is what he called it, because he felt like it, which immediately I obviously retort with the fact that he needs to get away from my room. I mean, okay, that is very disconcerting. You're engaging in P.O.C. first of all, and then you don't even have form for it. So Maria, a third party, provides that form for him, stating that he is the maintenance worker. Again, he's not even identifying himself as such and not acting as one, immediately abandoning that which is irrelevant to actually the operation of the cooling device inside of the room. It's not that it's dirty, okay? It's clearly dirty. That has nothing to do with the fact that it continues to turn on and off, which is not a matter of power. Clearly it's getting power because it continues to turn on and off from refrigerated cool air to very not cool air, warm air blowing inside of the room. This is not a matter of power. This is not a matter of it being cleaned. This is actually P.O.C. This is my documentation of just addressing it to the third parties themselves. So anyway, that is what occurred. And if you pay attention, if you hear, listen, what you hear in the background is I stand at the open doorway and I narrate what is group stalking in real time. As I step outside of the room, you hear the sirens. That was a siren of a police officer right in relevant position in front of my room, begins sounding sirens and lights on the police vehicle right in front of my room. The 60 freeway is right across from me. I have documented video of the state engaged in flying in helicopter directly over the freeway that is right in front of my room. That is a means of systematic patrolling, by the way. Third parties are driving past, engaged in the state system on the freeway with communication devices. That is a constant means of the P.O.C. This is that which was sirens that you hear as I am standing outside with the door open. That's the creation of audible activity while I'm engaged in a new activity and movement. So the sirens begin. You start hearing the sound of what is reminiscent of a truck in reverse. Beep, beep, beep. That's creation of audible activity. Coming out of nowhere. This is the state amplifying just noise. And this is what the state does all day long. The sirens, however, that was a police officer directly in front. That is not a coincidence, by the way. Directly in front of me, sounding sirens and lights on the vehicles, and those sirens stop moments later. But he is directly in front of my room as he's driving west on the 60 freeway in front. That is the state that got right in relevant position in front of my room on the 60 freeway and began sounding sirens. That is what I captured in audio, and so that is that's the fact pattern. That's the pattern. So just want to be clear in what it is that you're listening to. That was the police that was engaging in sounding sirens, and they did so right in front of my room on the freeway as they proceeded west on the 60. With regard to what you've been listening to, this is the immediate issue of activity creation in my room through the means of controlling an inanimate object, which is within the overall pattern of conduct by the state that is operating group stalking system for the criminal purpose of monitoring with communication devices while remaining present directly by the state and indirectly through third parties. That is the people of the state of California. My focus that is the immediate issue, controlling what is the cooler. This is a pattern, though. Controlling inanimate objects is within the state's pattern. Creating noise, it is the second element in the criminal elements of monitoring. Activity creation. That is the immediate issue. The bigger picture is that which I want to address and what I focused on, which is that which needs to be written into law with regard to this system that has yet to really be scrutinized and exposed and studied and understood and placed into context, prosecuted and outlawed as a matter of fact, as a matter of law, leaving no question, punctuating the fact that group stalking is readily identifiable and not impervious to prosecution. So with regard to SIIS, that is systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, and this is what characterizes the state's methods of group stalking for the purpose of criminal monitoring with communication devices. Stalking by light, stalking by person, that is the government itself. Stalking by entity, if you will. That is the government, that is the state in planes and helicopters and by police. And stalking by third parties who are present perpetually on behalf of that stalking entity. And stalking with noise, with activity, which is stalking because it mirrors, it literally is occurring as you make any move, as you engage in any activity, and it is not necessarily the same. It could be any kind of noise. You recognize the pattern because it continues to occur as you engage in that activity. And not only physical movement and activity, you're talking about activity on the internet, on your phone, on your computer. It is a stalking presence of noise. That is another systematic infliction of suffering, inhumane suffering, which is characteristic of the state system. And this is that which is serving a criminal pattern of conduct, and it is not currently written into law, and I am advocating the fact that it needs to be, because this is the pattern of the state. This is where you are operating group stalking, and these are the means by which. These are just specific methods. So you're talking about when you're identifying a state engaged in a criminal pattern of conduct, serving the purpose of monitoring in concert with the people of the state. It needs to be punished, and this is how you punish it. Where you're identifying that pattern of conduct, you are also going to address the fact that that targeted individual is subject to an inhumane level of suffering by virtue of the fact of that state's engagement of that criminal targeting system. And I'm breaking down the ways in which it is exercised, the ways in which they engage in it, and it is a ceaseless pattern. It is inhumane and egregious and unfathomable, unthinkable, and that which needs to be and must be, which I have provided proof of, that which is irreducible, it is irrefutable, it is insurmountable, even though third parties try to anyway. But third parties and state, I'm sorry, Lisa Rogan is a judge. She engaged in libel and slander, engaging a fictitious prosecution, subjecting me to false imprisonment upon there never being any probable cause to arrest, any probable cause to imprison, any probable cause to prosecute, let alone fake or feign a prosecution under the name of a D. Ramos with the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office. Lisa Rogan is a criminal, okay, and that is the state engaging in defamation, which serves the purpose of obstruction and criminal concealment of the state system of monitoring in order to seek to stop or render illegitimate that which is a civil case brought against the state of California for this very system, which was initiated in the civil court, San Bernardino Superior Court, September 12, 2019, which the state unlawfully, that's the civil court now, unlawfully evaded service of process. This is the criminality, the unlawful conduct of the state itself in the court system. Okay, so with regard to that, all I am saying is that the immediate issue is on what is literally occurring in the room, creating activity through inanimate objects, which is a pattern. And it is relevant. We're going back to the point of monitoring. But the bigger issue is that with regard to necessary legislation. And one of the aspects that needs to be touched on, which I am advocating, is the systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. And while engaging in that criminal system of monitoring, creating activity inside of my room, using the only means of cooling down what is an exceptionally hot day and inside of an exceptionally hot room by turning off the air conditioning, and it is exacerbating what is already hot circumstances in the first place, and it's serving a criminal purpose. And this is within a pattern. The state is engaged in beaming directly above my person all day long, no matter what direction I travel in, a low elevation hanging fake sun object that has engaged in burning my person. I have been burned by this. It is not the sun. And my documentation proves that. This is another form of systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. And this is that which needs to be written into law in order to address the egregious criminal unprecedented conduct of a government. And it needs to be written into law. And so that is called systematic infliction of inhumane suffering. This is far removed from not touching on that which intentional infliction of emotional distress. It far exceeds that. You're talking about a public entity engaging in a pattern of conduct, which is also, by virtue of its systematic engagement in that criminal conduct, inflicting a form of suffering. And that is exacerbated by the fact of the pure multitudes of people, that is the people of California, that are acting with that public entity. This is a manner of harm and violence and damage, physical and or tangible and intangible, that you cannot quantify it. It is something that you cannot measure, and so legislation has not yet touched on that. And that's what I'm speaking to, and that's the bigger picture, getting beyond what is the immediate issue, which is the criminal element of activity creation via the inanimate object inside of my room, which is the wall cooler, which is clearly being controlled by the power allotted to it, such that it continued to turn on and off all day long. And it does so unilaterally, as it is the state is engaged in monitoring me, which is within an overall pattern documented not just here, but at other places where I have also remained. And so that is P.O.C. It's 9:20 p.m. My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and my podcast is called the P.O.C. It is centered on unapologetic exposure of what is the state-organized system of group stalking, monitoring, surveillance, and harassment in the state of California. It is actively underway. I remain subject to it as I speak. And so as I document, as I publish my documentation, the state is actively engaged in that targeting system. And so it is literally placing that into the reality as it is. The state is monitoring its own prosecution, its own exposure, because that is what is happening. And they continue to engage in that criminal conduct that I continue to capture and will continue to capture and publish and expose every aspect of it, from being in a private residence, to being subject to false imprisonment in the jails, to being falsely arrested and harassed and physically abused by the police, to being stalked by the police, to being subject to defamation by the judges in the courts, to documenting the lawyers engaged in the criminal system with those judges, acting in concert with regard to the overall pattern of conduct that is designed to insulate itself, not only engage in monitoring, but engage in concealing the existence of that system through defamation, through false imprisonment, and through the ongoing monitoring system itself. And so this is that which is occurring at every physical venue where they are in relevant position, acting pursuant to P.O.C., and also the online venue, which I am documenting. This is relevant to federal stalking, 18 U.S.C. Section 2261, subsection A1, subsection 2. You're talking about federal stalking using means of interstate commerce. You're talking about Penal Code 646.9 of criminal stalking. You're talking about Civil Code Section 1708.7, the civil stalking statute. This is that which is unprecedented in that it does not exist on the books, and that is not a coincidence, because this is the government engaged in it. And so what I am showing is how, number one, it is fully capable of being identified. You're talking about the elements as they exist, and there are no exceptions to that. And you're talking about it being the government itself that is in operation, which alone provides a whole other subset of context. You're talking about a government that's engaged in surveillance, aware of what you're saying and what you're doing. This adds so much context to everything else that I document, and so this is why, and this is the purpose of what I am doing on my podcast, what I'm doing on my social media platforms. I am on TikTok, I'm on Tumblr, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, or where a substantial amount of my video documentation remains, and on podcast here on my Anchor podcast, which is also provided in other on other online platforms. But Anchor is the main one. This is the podcast where I am going to consistently engage in providing an audible form of my documentation, and this is to provide added context to what I have provided in video documentation, to my written documentation. A lot of my written documentation occurred while I was subject to false imprisonment, of documenting the P.O.C. by the deputies in the jail, by the judges, and while the inmates are third parties acting in concert with the state, it is P.O.C. at every single venue, just like I have stated, and that is not an exaggeration, and it is only that which can be established through just providing the facts, because it is that which It exceeds what it exceeds what I could ever imagine. I never would have fathomed it, and it happened to me, and I just started documenting what is occurring as it continues to occur. And it started, again, with being followed everywhere that I went, the ubiquitous presence of police, and then the stalking conduct by airplanes and helicopters, which, again, are exceptional occurrences, requiring one to engage in. If you're smart, you start documenting it, because it is highly peculiar, and you know very well that you are not hallucinating, and that it is something that stands out as an exceptional occurrence that continues to happen. And so this is where the pattern of conduct began to be cataloged, and that's where it started, by the more aggressive presence of the state. The more that I documented it, the more aggressive that the state became, and the more aggressive that the benefit of that is, because the more aggressive that the state became, the more familiarized I became with their pattern of conduct, such that you are able, as I share it and publish it, identify when a state is engaged in targeting an American citizen, because this is the way that they do it. This is how they're doing it in California. And it is prefaced by state stalking. The state is represented by the police, by the fire department, by the ambulance workers, by the state that is flying around in airplanes and helicopters, by the state that is in the court system, that is the state, by the state that is the sheriff's office that should be serving service of process, that is the state. The state represents the California Supreme Court, that's the state. The state is represented by the California Court of Appeals, the 4th District, 2nd Division. That is the state. And those are documented actors in the state's P.O.C. And so I just want to close with, there is, beyond my immediate documentation, there is a wealth of context that is readily available with regard to what I have documented. And so this is why the defamatory and targeted harassment by third parties, not only in person, by third party insiders, all engaged in P.O.C., and by third parties on the online venue, it is irrelevant because the case is already proven against the state of California. It is already proven, and not only that, the state of California has already been exposed. I am merely in a process of making sure that it never remains a secret. It will never be concealed. It will never be that which is foreign and unrecognizable or not reasonably argued as something that cannot be brought into a court, and without the assistance of a third-party attorney or well, actually, attorneys are representatives of the state. They're licensed through the state. So without a state actor that is biased and engaged in that P.O.C. Before a corrupt court system that is intended to defame you and conceal and obstruct your ability to assert your constitutional rights, state and federal rights. So it's 9:27 p.m. You can find me online, Erica Lorraine Spencer. The online platforms are engaged in actively obstructing my ability to reach the public. But again, my material is online. My full name is the only way I maintain uniform online presence, Erica Lorraine Spencer, the same picture on all of my platforms. And never mind defamatory speech. That is merely P.O.C. That is identification of third parties. That is the system in operation, seeking to avoid that which is inevitable, and that is the exposure of this state. And that has implications for this country, by the way, because California is not operating alone. And the fact that the P.O.C. is underway on the World Wide Web speaks to the existence of this system beyond just California. And I'll leave it at that. All I am doing is just providing the facts, and that's all I'm doing. I can provide context, but a lot of that I find to be, not irrelevant. This is pursuant to breaking down the reality as it exists, and the reality based on the provision of objective facts, and that is what the case rests on, and that is what you bring into a court of law. So it's 9:28 p.m. and my name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and that is the P.O.C. All right, it is September 6, 2020, and it is currently 11:41. This is just documenting what the state continues to engage in, and that is at nighttime, This is what they're doing, obstructing my ability to get on the internet, and also doing it while I'm in the midst of publishing some form of documentation. What I was doing was I was exploring the podcasts that are allegedly publishing my podcast, and so the particular one called Pocket Casts, the developers are based in New York, and it is supposedly a free account in order to listen, but you have to download the app, and so that in and of itself is peculiar to me. I don't know why you can't do it on the internet, but nevertheless, it's called Pocket Casts podcast by Podcast Media LLC. It is based in New York. The developer contact is let's see. Yeah, 160 Varick Street, Florida, 7, New York, 10013. This is the address that I emailed based on my downloading the app, creating a login. I go to the website, I log into the website, and a pop-up appears on the website, and that blocks my ability to log in, so the website just continues processing. As I close the pop-up that appears immediately as I select login, the login fields immediately are cleared out by that pop-up, and so that's P.O.C. of obstruction. But I did that several times, and the pop-up continues to appear as I select login after having created my account, which they published on the internet, stating that you have to download their app in order to be able to log into their account. The fact that after I did that and I'm not able to log into their account, that is within the pattern of obstruction of access. This is about a podcast that I am publishing documentation of the state's criminal engagement in a pattern of conduct designed to group, stalk, and monitor, and I'm just showing how it is extending to the podcast now, and the ability to reach the public in that manner. And this is the particular one. This is Pocket Cast. So I did send an email out. This is internet based. I also what I did do is, after using the Samsung web browser in order to access that website that publishes that you have to download the app, I opened up the Chrome app. And I use the incognito function in order to open it up on the web, and is the pattern, immediately the internet fails. I am remaining logged in on the Economy N Wi-Fi, and there is no weakening of the signal. Internet Wi-Fi remains the same. It just immediately fails, which I took an image of that. The other thing that the state is engaged in doing is blocking my ability to take a screenshot, which is a principal means of documenting what is appearing on my screen as the state is engaged in obstruction and monitoring on my communication device. That is P.O.C. as well, as they engage in tampering with my phone, and it creates a block in order to preclude me from being able to take a screenshot. I did capture the images of immediately the Chrome app, and this is as soon as I try to open it up in Chrome, immediately the internet fails. Okay, this is not a coincidence. I keep saying that because it is not a coincidence. This is the pattern. This is obstruction. This is while the state is engaged in ongoing monitoring, and this is occurring as I am seeking to use alternative methods of accessing information, and that is what is going. These are acts of obstruction, criminal obstruction for the ultimate criminal motive of concealment, seeking to obstruct my ability to publish, seeking to obstruct my ability to look into that which is on its surface appears to be unavailable, and so as I use an alternative means of that is immediately blocked off. And this is all internet-based access, and so that is the state that is engaged in that. Third parties engaged in group stalking, engaged in group stalking while I'm here at third party facilitating venue Economy N. They are remaining around and creating ongoing activity. So this is P.O.C. and this is my documenting it on this podcast, and this is also relevant to the state engaging in obstruction while subject to the ongoing group stalking system and full operation at Economy N, as group stalkers are engaged in constant activity creation in and outside of my room, the state amplifying sound inside of my room while physically alone inside of the room, the state using inanimate objects inside of my room to create activity, third parties remaining positioned outside and around my room, creating activity as well in relevant position with communication devices. This is group stalking while the state itself is stalking. This prefaces every other fact that is relevant to that system. And now the complications on the internet. These are not malfunctions. This is the pattern of conduct of monitoring designed to obstruct and conceal, which is ultimately about the system, the state engaged in trying to keep concealed its own criminal system, its own criminal conduct. And I'm just showing how this is documentation speaking to the inability to take screenshots of the immediate time that the internet coincidentally fails. This is a pattern, nightly disabling the Wi-Fi at third-party facilitating venue Economy N, where I remain in the same location where the signal remains perfectly fine. You have it this is a blockage of my communication device that is occurring at the moment that I engage in using another app in order to access the same information. And this is relevant to Pocket Casts, which is an app that allegedly is posting my podcast, yet I was required to download the app in order to create an account in order to listen to what is supposedly a free podcasting service where my documentation is published through Anchor onto that. This is what Anchor, the app, is alerting me of, publishing to me, and this is looking into that account and running into these precipitating complications, blocking the internet, blocking my ability to take screenshots, blocking my ability to use Twitter to tweet about it as it's occurring, which is pursuant to the same blocking of internet conduct. This is all P.O.C. and it is relevant to my looking into the Pocket Casts and the ability to actually see whether my podcast is actually published on that site. Now, the state that is engaged in stalking and engaged in ongoing monitoring and surveillance, obsessive presence and listening is that which also tries to engage in after the fact, and that's the fact that remains relevant, is that any sort of quote-unquote follow-through that they engage in, it is done after the fact, after the obstruction has already been engaged in, after the fact that I was already blocked from the ability to access the information in real time without being hindered in any way. So this is just it's 11:48, and so I did capture that, and this is documentation of that. And so I do have images of being blocked from the internet. I do have images of the pop-up appearing on the Pocket Cast website, not disabling my ability to log in. It makes that claim that my podcast is published on that site. That remains a mystery because I'm unable to access that site, and the fact that the internet is disabled at the time that I'm looking into it, that is not a coincidence, okay? So you have third parties that act in concert with each other. Third parties are online. I've already demonstrated in my documentation, Google is a third party. Facebook and Instagram are third parties engaging in conduct that tends to have the obstructive impact and oppressive impact of limiting the ability to publish, to reach the public with documentation about a government engaged in systematic group stalking and monitoring. This is not a coincidence. This is showing how third-party conduct exists on the venue of the internet while subject to ongoing monitoring, while in relevant position to group stalkers all around me at third-party facilitating venue Economy N, where they are engaged in obstruction and obstruction in the form of removing ability to access Wi-Fi, tampering with ability to use functions on the phone and functions in the apps themselves. That is using the screenshots. That is the ability to share among different apps. That is the ability for the apps to actually operate and perform the way that they are designed. For example, Periscope not saving the live broadcast to the phone as it's designed, as I said it to do. This is a pattern. This is not a series of coincidences. It is September 6, 2020, and it's 11:50 p.m., and this is denoting the ongoing engagement and monitoring and the a specific obstructive conduct by the state by blocking internet access at the same time that I'm seeking to access the internet to look into Pocket Casts using a different web browser, and at the same time that I do that, internet immediately goes out. I documented this last night, and I spoke about the fact that it happened the night before last night as well. This is a pattern, and this is P.O.C. Okay, so I did get on Twitter, and I did initiate to send a tweet about the website that I sought to access and where it was immediately made available. And again, because of the obstructive conduct of the state immediately disabling Wi-Fi, that tweet just went through a minute ago, whereas I sent it about 10 minutes ago. But it is still relevant with regard to the paper trail and my documentation of that which was immediately disabling internet access on my Google Chrome app and on Samsung Internet. As I started on the Samsung Internet app, and then I sought to access the same information using a totally different app, and that is when the internet altogether was blocked from my ability to access, where absolutely nothing changed on the phone itself. I'm still logged into Economy and Wi-Fi. The signal is still present. That is just the state's exercising its ability, third parties exercising their ability to engage in monitoring, where they are tampering with the performance of my phone. This is what happens when you have a network of communication devices that are honed in and focused on what your communication device is doing, what you are doing on your phone. That is monitoring, and that's what is occurring. And that is what I am tweeting about. It is currently 11:54 p.m. Okay, so it's 11:58. I just got through sending out a tweet about P.O.C. And I am using now what is the app that I initially tried to open before my Wi-Fi was immediately, my Wi-Fi access was immediately revoked. And now, as I search for in the Google app using incognito like I originally was, Pocket Cast, now the internet is operating and I'm able to access it. Now, I just want to be clear that the state is engaged in monitoring, seeking to keep a step ahead, which they're not a step ahead because they engage in stopping me in order to get ahead of what it is that I'm doing or information that I'm trying to access. And that's basically what they're doing. If they cut off my access to information in one way, if I go at it in a different way, then they stop my ability to access it and then go about doing whatever it is that a government does when they're engaged in high corruption and trying to obstruct your ability to access information and conceal the fact that they are acting with third parties in order to do so. But nonetheless, on Google Chrome, I am able to access, and I Googled Pocket Quest just like I did before what I tweeted, the image of the little robot that shows up on Google when you suddenly don't have internet access, because that's exactly what appeared when I Googled Pocket Cast before, which is the pattern, not a coincidence. And so as I Google and go inside of the site after having used the app that I unexpectedly opened up, which is why my internet was immediately disabled, I am now logging in. Okay, so it's 12 a.m. It's now September 7th. So what I want to speak to is this is excellent, because this is a real-time capturing as I'm going through and documenting obstruction. And this is what obstruction is like on your communication device, which is relevant for the internet, because this is the venue that I am at being subject to monitoring, while at the physical location in relevant position, while the government is physically present, stalking and acting with the group stalkers all around me, that is the people in relevant position at the venue and around the venue. This is Pocket Cast, as again The state gets ahead of me as I open up the Chrome app, immediately disable Wi-Fi, gets ahead so that I get the same result that I got on the Samsung Internet app. So that's the reason why Internet was immediately disabled, by the way. So as I open up the Chrome app, then I do the same thing that I did on the Samsung, and in order to get the same result, which is the pop-up on the Pocket Cast site, and as I close it, as I close out that that pop-up that appears, and I'm still not able to get in, it is a manner of blocking access into the website. So the pop-up continues to appear as you select login, and this is just what I want to demonstrate. This is a pattern, and this is how I'm so aware of it, because I am used to, as I go about thinking about things fluidly and doing things in a different manner, the state engages in a pattern, a predictable pattern of stopping my ability to move forward, and they do that by blocking off the internet in order to try to get ahead. But they're not getting ahead, they are behind. The state is behind because not only am I documenting this pattern of conduct of obstruction and I'm publishing it, the state is behind because they are engaged in trying to catch up. They have to engage in conduct that I then document and publish in order to engage in obstruction, and that's what they're doing. This is why my internet, the Wi-Fi, was immediately disabled as I opened up a different app in order to access the same information. I used an app other than the one that I ordinarily use, and I opened it up in incognito mode, and this is with regard to the identification of the browser that you're using, and the identification of what you're using when you're looking up information. The state is monitoring me and my phone and its ID, and so I just opened up a different browser in incognito, and my internet was immediately, we could just say paused, because they engaged in immediately pausing access in order to make sure that I get the same result, which is being blocked out of the site, and I am blocked with a pop-up as I put in the login information under the account that I already created, and this is just an example of more of the same. It is the same conduct when I use apps, when I go on different websites. This is just an example of obstruction. This is what this is relevant to, and the ways they engage in it. They have to engage in blocking my access in order to do so. Every time they engage in these obstructive acts, these criminal acts to ultimately conceal criminal state conduct, it is documented. And this is how and why the state is behind. The state is in no way ahead of me. They are behind, and they are documented every step of the way. This is using a pop-up on the screen as I select login. The login screen just continues to process. The pop-up appears on the screen, and then as I close out the pop-up, the login information on here remains present, and it just does not go in. I'm not able to access the site. In the Samsung Internet website, in that app, the login information was disappearing altogether. And again, so I just want to go to, this is not a malfunctioning of the site. This isn't a malfunctioning of internet. This is within the same pattern. And why is it that not only is it that which is within the same pattern, you're talking about facts that are documented intermittently in between, even if you want to posit that these are just thousands and hundreds and thousands of coincidences. Even if you want to posit that, you're going to look at the facts that go with those series of coincidences, and you're talking about documenting what is a state organized system of stalking and monitoring. Monitoring is that which is centered on the use of a communication device, the capture, the interference with, the monitoring of electronic information residing in a communication device, the monitoring of an American citizen, every move you make, every word you utter, in private or out in public. The target individual has no privacy whatsoever, and that is the absence of any coincidence, because those facts also provide context to what I'm documenting is occurring on the internet. So it is relevant with regard to the venue that it's appearing. In which it is occurring, and that's what I'm documenting, because this is not only monitoring that is occurring under all three elements with light, while they are in relevant position, using communication devices and with activity that is ongoing. That is a group stalking. You're talking about on the venue of the internet. This is serving the criminal purpose of obstruction. And again, what is relevant to that? You're talking about a government engaged in targeting an American citizen. This poses a potent, credible threat to an American citizen subject to that stalking conduct by a government. This is that which is not able to be resolved in a court of law, where the court system is engaged in that same system and is thoroughly engaged and entrenched in criminal conduct designed to obstruct your ability to exercise your constitutional rights, to assert a lawsuit against that state, engaged in defamation of that targeted individual. So you are presented with a credible threat and being targeted by a system that is insulated to protect it, to conceal itself, if you will. And so this is not only P.O.C. for monitoring, this is the P.O.C. for criminal obstruction of that system. The government itself seeking to ultimately keep the target individual from publishing information about its criminal conduct with the state, which the state is continuously monitoring. They are monitoring their own criminal conduct that is being documented and published about itself. So this is an unfathomable level of malice. Okay, this is an unfathomable, unprecedented level of criminality and hypocrisy, as they are fully aware of everything that is documented about their own criminal conduct, and they engage in conduct trying to obstruct that purpose. This is highly criminal. This is highly despicable. This is highly oppressive conduct. And that is why it is legally relevant what the state is engaged in. There are no coincidences with regard to my perfectly capable phones. I've got more than one. There's nothing wrong with my phones, and there's nothing wrong with the internet. There's nothing wrong with the apps downloaded on my phone. This is a series of monitoring tactics, and that's what I'm documenting. That's what I create in videos and upload to YouTube. That is what I continue to capture. That is what the state continues to engage in. And this is, as I move from venue to venue, as I move from method of documentation, of publishing that documentation, the state moves with me like the stalker that it is. So as I move to podcast, the stalker follows to that area, if you will, of the public and seeking to obstruct my ability to do that. And that is legally relevant with regard to criminal concealment of the state engaged in criminal conduct that poses a credible threat under Civil Code Section 1708.7, under Penal Code 646.9, and those are just the state statutes. It is 12:09 a.m. It's September 7th, 2020, and this is relevant with regard to pocket casts. This is that which Anchor purportedly has been able to provide my podcast for podcast listeners to listen for free. But again, my inability to access that is that which remains a question up in the air. And the fact that I am blocked from access, number one, is not a coincidence. And the fact that I'm blocked from access when I'm seeking to confirm whether or not it is actually available as it has been purported, that is, again, relevant with regard to under the totality of circumstances, under all of the facts. I find that to be, which is reasonably construed as, a third party and state conduct seeking to obstruct my ability to access that information, and or seeking to obstruct my ability to find out that it is in fact not available on Pocket Casts. It is one or both. Either way, it is obstruction, as I'm engaged in use of my phone on the internet and documentation of the state's criminal conduct. Okay, my name is Erica Spencer, and it is 12:11 a.m., September 7th, 2020, and this is just documentation of that obstruction conduct by the state, blocking my ability to access what was specifically the Pocket Cast website. And Anchor is the app that I am using in order to publish Audible documentation. audio documentation about the state's criminal pattern of conduct, and Anchor purportedly engages in shopping your podcast around, has claimed and published to me that it is available on Pocket Cast. And again, this documentation is about the inability to access that website, and the inability to do so is based on the state's use of controlling my phone, my device, inability to take screenshots of that which I am encountering on the internet as I encounter a pop-up, as I seek to log in after creating the account in the app, which the website required, which, I find that peculiar, like I stated earlier, why you wouldn't be able to create it online. Not everybody is necessarily using a phone, but neither here nor there. I create the account, I log in, and I'm unable to log in. And as I use the different app, a Chrome app in incognito, I am immediately no longer able to access Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is immediately revoked, and having nothing changed. This is speaking to the state's active and ongoing diligent effort to monitor and obstruct. And as that pause in access is created, as it is reestablished, that is Wi-Fi access, I am able to log on and continue with what I was doing. And basically what that is the state getting ahead and making sure that I get the same result, which is being blocked from accessing the site with the same pop-up and with the same inability to actually enter the Pocket Cast site. And this is relevant with regard to confirming that my podcast, the P.O.C. by Erica Lorraine Spencer, is actually available on that site as Anchor has purported, as Pocket Cast is holding itself out as one that is publishing your podcast on their website for free, which apparently you have to create an account in order to do so. I'm just going off of what is on the website. The fact that I am blocked from being able to access it is implication of third-party status in and of itself. And so, like I said, it is one or the other. The fact that I am blocked from access is speaking to, number one, that the state is just seeking to obstruct my ability to access it, and it is on Pocket Cast, or the fact that I'm being blocked from access because it is not actually available on Pocket Cast, and that is why I'm not able to log in. Either way, like I said, it is obstruction, period. This is on the venue of the internet. This is relevant to the state's criminal obstruction conduct. While they are engaged in tampering with my phone, trying to stop the ability to take screenshots, claiming some security policy when it has nothing to do with the security policy. It is a default form of tampering with my phone, and trying to stop trying to stop my ability to publish documentation, which I just get it in another way. And so when I do things like going about seeking information using a different manner, and internet is immediately disconnected. That's what they engaged in, and that's what I tweeted about. So it's 12:14 a.m., Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I am just making sure I reiterate what I already stated with regard to the legal relevance of what I'm documenting, and Pocket Cast being blocked from internet, being blocked from being able to take a basic screenshot, which is a normal, ordinary function on my phone. It's not as though I'm logged into a bank account. It's not as though I'm logged into something that's showing sensitive information. The state is engaged in tampering with the phone and affecting its performance, which is the pattern. You've got apps that do not perform the way that they are supposed to because they are internet-based, and the state is engaged in monitoring my phone and my use of my phone, and that's P.O.C. That is 12:15 a.m. Erica Lorraine Spencer, and my podcast is available on Anchor, and as far as Pocket Cast, that is up in the air because I am unable to access that website, which is P.O.C., by the way.